Cremation. Is cremation against the Bible? Is it sinful? Will it compromise our bodily resurrection upon Christ's return? These are some serious questions that we must consider when it comes to the topic of cremation, especially approaching it from a Christian worldview. Jack Cottrell wrote an article, published it online on July 4th, 2012, and in this article he states, "There's a book called The History of American Funeral Directing, written by Robert Havenstein and William Lamers in 1955. On page 4, the authors point out the cultural diversity regarding the choice of methods of disposing of bodies. Assume that we are confronted with the dead body of a man. What disposition shall we make of it? Shall we lay it in a boat that is set adrift? Shall we take the heart from it and bury it in one place and the rest of the body in another? Shall we expose it to wild animals, burn it on a pyre, push it into a pit naked to rot with other bodies, boil it until the flesh falls off the bones and throw the flesh away and treasure the bones? Such questions provoke others which may not even be consciously articulated, such as, what do men generally think this body is, and what do they think is a proper way of dealing with it?" Jack Cottrell also states the biblical data show that in Bible times and among Bible people, the most common method of dealing with dead bodies was through some form of burial. Since there is no biblically recorded divine command to do this, we conclude that burial was a matter of custom rather than command. We can also take a look at the history of pagan culture, namely Greek and Roman culture, among others, where burial was also a common practice. Cottrell also states in Leviticus chapter 20, verse 14 and 21, verse 9, that burning was the penalty for certain serious sins, and you can take a look at Genesis 38:24. Unless this refers to the death penalty by burning, it must refer to the cremation of the remains of one who has been stoned to death for such sins. See Deuteronomy 22, verse 21, and John 8, verse 5. We should not infer from this, however, that such cremation was regarded as inherently wrong or always negative. In 1 Samuel 31:12, the bodies of King Saul and his sons, subjected to humiliation by victorious Philistines, were rescued by certain Israelites and reverently burned. So Cottrell continues, we can make a strong case for the fact that God's plan to raise Jesus from the dead required burial as the only compatible way to dispose of his body following the crucifixion. That Jesus lived and died in a culture that practiced burial was thus a part of God's providential preparation for Jesus' resurrection. This does not mean, however, that burial is the only method approved by God, and any more than Jesus' dying on a cross means that crucifixion is the only method of death approved by God. It is a truth that we must respect and revere the body, because it says in the Bible that we are temples of the Holy Spirit, and we must, because of that fact, treat our bodies with such reverence. Genesis 3:19, in fact, though, does say that for dust you are, and to dust you will return, no matter if it's decaying over a long period of time or from being burned up in the fiery flames of cremation. Simply, we all turn to dust. Cremation simply makes it happen quicker. No matter how our bodies are disposed of after we die, God will raise us up on that day upon Christ's return into our new glorified bodies. He has the power to raise us up from the dead. Surely he has the power to handle the problem of any manner of which our bodies are broken down. There is no biblical prohibition of cremation, and I believe that this is within the realm of Christian liberty, and we are free to do as we wish regarding this subject. That's my answer to this question of cremation. I hope it helps you. Please comment down below if you have any other questions. Thanks, everyone.